Welcome to the Hawaii Health Data Warehouse Coffee Break Monthly Webinar Series. My name is Tanya Lowry St. John with the Hawaii Health Data Warehouse, or HHDW, in the Office of Public Health Studies at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. We introduced Hawaii Health Matters, or HHM, in 2009, and it's gone several overhauls since then. But HHM was designed to provide a friendly way for users to access and interpret health data. Since it was originally designed with state and county data in mind, almost all indicators have data for both, and many have additional data by other demographic variables like age, sex, and race ethnicity. Moreover, HHM also contains sub-county level data, so census place, primary care service area, zip codes, all the way down to the census tract for some indicators. The geography varies by the indicator and its data source. In HHM, as you're working through this, it's helpful to think of each of the indicators as almost like a separate object or a book within a library. They can be viewed individually or in a group tracker, which we're going to be working with you today, or you can also handpick trackers, and we have another webinar on that. But today we're going to be reviewing the demographics dashboard. The demographics dashboard is a great place to find basic demographic information about your community, and it includes topics like population characteristics, housing, education, and poverty. So really wonderful resource to have when you're writing grants or proposals. And this dashboard is modeled after the US Census Bureau's Quick Fact Demographic Profile. And it includes data from both the census and the American Community Survey. So there's data, some are in 1-year increments and some are in 5-year increments. There are 39 separate indicators in the dashboard. All of them have state and county level data, but 31 actually have data all the way down to the census place, and 19 indicators have zip code level data. Before we get into the HHM site, I want to quickly review some of the icons that you're going to see. One of the foundations of HHM is to provide that data in context. So not just what's the percentage, but how does that compare to the nation? How does it compare to how we've done into the past, to other counties, to the state as a whole? And to help make this clearer, HHM uses this series of icons. As a rule of thumb, the direction of the arrow indicates if the measurement is increasing or decreasing, but the color tells us how to interpret it. Red is bad, green is good, and blue is neutral. When you see trend data and it's mostly solid, then that means it is statistically significant. So in this case, it's going up, and that's a good thing, and that trend is statistically significant. When you see they're mostly white, they are not statistically significant. So in this case, the trend is going up, but it's bad in this case. So let's say maybe it's the percentage of the population that's obese, but it's not statistically significant. We also have the ability to look for some indicators have targets, and a target can be a national objective like Healthy People 2030, or a local objective like the Tobacco Control Plan targets. And when an indicator has an objective here, you will see a green check if that target has been met, or a red X if that target has not been met. Lastly, some indicators in the system have these gauges, and the gauges compare the indicator to other similar communities. So in this case, we're comparing to US counties as a whole. And so this indicator is here in the yellow. So that means that this county that we'll be looking at would be in the second worst quarter of community. So you'd see one indicator and a bunch of different information to help you interpret what that means. So let's take a look. Here we're looking at data from the County of Hawaii and its income and poverty data, and the specific indicator is people living below the poverty level. And the value of that is 14%, and the measurement period is between 2016 and 2020. 14% of the population in Hawaii County lived below the poverty level. When you're comparing Hawaii County to all US counties, you see it's right there in the middle. So in that case, it's probably at the 50th percentile for all US counties, about the median value, right? But it is higher than the state as a whole, which is only 9.3%, and also higher than the US as a whole, which is 12.8%. Compared to itself, the prior value of 15.6 is basically equal. There's no statistical difference, but it has been trending downward over time, and that's a good thing. However, that is not a statistically significant downward trend, because again, this is not all green. Lastly, there happens to be a Healthy People 2030 target about people living below the poverty level, and the target is 8%. We have not met that target, so it's red. This is looking at information about geography. And here you can see that the indicator is persons per square mile. And in Hawaii County, there are 49.5 persons per square mile. And that measurement was done in 2010 because the 2020 final census data is not out yet. But compared to the state as a whole, they are lower because the state as a whole persons per square mile was 211.8. It's also lower than the US value at 87.4, but it's higher than its prior value at 36.9. Let's get started and let's explore Hawaii Health Matters. So I'm going to invite you to open up a separate browser, or you can just even open up your browser and let's take a look at the data. So to get to Hawaii Health Matters, easiest way to navigate there is you can type in hawaiihealthmatters.org in your browser, or you can come to hhdw.org, and this will be our home page. And right here you can see go to Hawaii Health Matters. So we're going to click here. Just want to point out a few features to you. First is our rotating banner. So we start off with our featured content for each month. That changes every month, and this month's featured content is the Age-Friendly Honolulu Annual Report. If your organization has an upcoming report that they would like us to highlight, which is Hawaii-specific data, please let us know. I am always looking for new content here. The next tiles are going to direct you to the most recent data loads that we have in hhdw.org. So you can see that it's the 2020 PRAMs and the 2020 BRFSS data. Clicking on those will take you to those data loads. And the last tile is going to be our Coffee Break Monthly webinar, so you can register for that. So I encourage you to register for next month's webinar, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Scrolling down, you can see a little focus on dashboard that is going to be related to the featured content of the month, and that kind of gives you some indicators that we have in the system, just a selection of 4 that are related to this month's featured content. If you're looking at these icons and you're like, oh, I don't remember what they meant, you can go ahead and hover over the icon and it will give you a little bit of information in terms of how to interpret that. Scrolling down, you can see some other features of the site. And one of them is finding the demographic data, which we're going to go to today. There's a bunch of ways to get to the demographic data. You can click here to find demographic data. So just get to the home page. You can come up to our Find Data section and you see the drop-down menu and you can click on demographics. You can go to the Find Data page and you can see Explore Data, Find Demographics. I'm going to take you today through a little circuitous route through the community dashboard because I want to show you a feature. And if you come to our community dashboard, this is a great place to really access all of the data and the health indicators in our system. And there's a couple of ways to do that through here. The different trackers are available. You can look at all of the data. You can look at indicator lists by location. And this is where I want to show you about our locations. We talked in the beginning of our poll about what kind of level of data that you normally use. And while most of you use state and county data, there may be occasions when you need to use more granular data and you're kind of trying to understand where those boundaries are. If you click here on this use a map to select a location icon here, it'll bring you to our state of Hawaii map. And these are our different locales that we have within the system, our geographic layers. So we have our county layer, so you can see there, and we can click over here on the labels on, and then you can see them. I can zoom in a little bit, and we can say, all right, what if I want to look at primary care service areas so that you can see the maps for that. So if you're looking at primary care service area, as you hover over these, you can see what's involved in that. Same thing for census place. Remember, census place is just cities. It's not going to be the whole state. But if you have a small area that you're trying to get information on, this might be a great source of information for you. And as we mentioned, we have demographic information at the census place level. You can also then go down to the zip code level and then all the way down to the census tract. And again, whenever you hover over a map in our system, it's going to show you where that's from. So that might be an important tool to know that exists out there when you're trying to say, I really want to get information about this community. Maybe you don't have exactly, but I can go in and find the right layers. Then you can search by that location using this drop-down menu here all the way down and get data that's only related to that location in the system. And you can also use that feature down here of listing the indicators by our location. So just wanted to point the location feature out to you. So let's go into the demographics dashboard. Here you can see our demographics dashboard. As we mentioned, it's based on the Census Quick Fact demographic profile. There's a hot link here so that you can hyperlink to actually see the profiles. If you want to learn more about this dashboard, right here will take you to the link in our Help Center that is about it. Looking at the dashboard, you can see we're looking at Hawaii data, and we can scroll down and we can see there's information about the number of people, our whole population, the age and sex. As you're scrolling down, you'll see that this blue bar appears. It says you're looking at state data and what of these sub-county, sub-areas you're looking at. You'll see that we can kind of hover over here, and these are going to be different objects. We'll go and explore one of those shortly, but going down, you can see we have race and Hispanic origin information. I will caution you that that is based on the census category, so that may not be as useful to you as you want, but just to let you know that it does exist in there. We have information about percentage of population that are veteran, foreign born, housing characteristics for each of the areas, family and living arrangements, population education, health, economy, transportation, income and poverty, business, and then all the way down to the geography and persons per square mile. As you're going through the system, if you scroll down and you want to get back up to the top of the page, an easy way to do this is to use this little orange arrow here, and that'll bring you immediately back to the top. Again, if you are looking at the data and you're like, okay, I'm really not sure what these gauges mean, there's a See Legend feature that's over here on the left. You can always click on that, and then I'll pop you out an explanation of the legend. So those are just two helpful hints there. Scrolling up a little bit more, we saw that this is the data for Hawaii. This dashboard, like most of our dashboards, has a tool that you can select the geography that you're interested in. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and select Kauai. So if we select there, then we'll get a refresh dashboard, which is all of these indicators for Kauai. So you see our total population went down to 73,454. And also our comparisons changed, because now it's not just the Kauai value, you see the Hawaii state value and the US, then the prior value and the trend. So then now we're looking at, and as we scroll down, we'll see all the data here. You can see that it's for Kauai County as we look at our indicator. So that's just a neat piece to look at, so you can go ahead and tailor your dashboard. If some of the indicators drop off as you get down to some of the smaller geographies, it's because that information isn't available at that geography, but whatever's there will continue to be displayed in the dashboard. So let's take a closer look here at the population over 65. You can see here that unlike the state, they're almost exactly in equilibrium in terms of the population under age 18 and 65 and older. So we'll click on here, and this brings us to our standard indicator report. And here in an indicator report, you will first find the title of the report, the geography. If you want to change the geography, you can always click on the triangle, and that gives you our drop-down menus. Whenever you see a triangle in the system, then you can do some changes there. You can also change your time period. If you wanted to change your indicator, you can do that as well here by either scrolling through or beginning to type in information. Then you have the information, the definition. This is the indicator percentage of population that's over the age of 65. Information about why that's important. Our point prevalence of 21.4%. The source, you'll see that's hyperlinked. You can click on that and then go and do some more digging around in the source of that data. You can see the Hawaii value, the US value, the prior value, and the trend. And again, you can see there's a more robust explanation when you're in the indicator report of what those graphics mean. And you can see that here's our information and how it's changed over time. Scrolling down on this, you can see this, we're looking at the data for county. When you're in this tool within the system, you'll see that the map is connected to the chart, which is connected to the table below. So if I highlight here in the table, you can see that it's connected here also in the chart above. If I scroll out, you'll be able to see it that also will highlight on the map. You can compare here. So if I wanted to compare everybody to the Hawaii state value, I can do that. So then I can see where we are in Kauai. We're above the Hawaii state value, but we're lower than the county of Hawaii. I can also dig a little bit deeper and say, well, what if I'm interested more in census places here within Kauai? Maybe I'm really trying to target at a population. So I can click here, and this will bring me to the same indicator, but now we're looking at the census places. And I'm interested in Kauai, so I'm going to move my map over here, and I'm going to highlight it up. So I can do that. I can see there's information, and I can go ahead and change. So I'm comparing it just to Kauai County. And when I do that, then only the bars that are blue are the Kauai County bars, so that I can quickly see here, this is my highest bar, and it says that that's Poipu. So in Poipu, 42.6% of the population are 65 or older, right? So then if I was trying to do special outreach to the community of people aged 65 or older, then I would definitely want to make sure that I have some work going on here in Poipu, right? So scrolling down, the last thing that you will see here in our standard reports is our related content. So for all of our indicators in the system, they have content that's related. So in this case, we have other health indicators. The first 3 of each of these will be displayed. You can always click on more to see the full list. But for example, for the population over 65, this is the percentage that's also available in count form. So you can go and scroll up into there, but you can see we have indicators, fact sheets, community resources, funding opportunities, websites, reports, data resources, and CDC resources that all are related to this health indicator. So I'm going to scroll back up here to the top. I'm going to go to find data and to demographics. I'm going to give you a chance to work with the system. So I'd like you to use the demographics dashboard here and to answer the following questions. What is the average daily travel time to work in Hawaii? And then compare that travel time. So you're going to go scroll down and find that, setting your indicator at Hawaii. Click on that indicator and compare the travel times by county and zip code. What is the source of the travel time data? And then I'd also like you to then change the dashboard to look at Maui County and use it to describe the population of Maui County. I'd like to know the population, the average household size, the age distribution, and the percent of people living in poverty level. Let's go through and work these problems. Okay, so the first question was using the demographics dashboards, what's the average daily travel time to work in Hawaii? So you can scroll down here and looking at the transportation. So the mean travel time for work in Hawaii is 27.1 minutes. We're going to go ahead and, as you can see, compared to the whole United States, we're in the second to lower quarter of that. And then if you look at the data here over time, this is one where we do have data available by sex. And the source of this data is the American Community Survey 5-year estimates. And we can scroll down and we can look at it, the data by counties. And you can see here that by counties for mean travel time for work, it goes all the way from 21.5 minutes in Kauai County to 28.4 minutes in Honolulu County. Some of you are like me, you're like, that seems really short, but that's what it is when you're looking at the 5-year averages. And then we can also go ahead and look all the way down to the zip code level. So again, we'll just click on zip code here and you'll be able to see the zip code. So they line up, this way. So you can come here quickly to the most, and you can see it's over here on the Big Island, and that is a 96737, and that's 1 hour, 5 minutes, 0.6, 65 minutes, 6 sections, all the way down to here, which is going to be our shortest mean travel time to work, which is going to be here, and that is going to be 4.5 minutes, and that is, and you can scroll out if you want to know, that's here over in Molokai, right? So then those are going to be the answers to those questions there. And then now coming back to describing the population for Maui County. So if I come back up here to my demographics dashboard, I'm going to set this to Maui County. So then now all my information is going to be pertinent to Maui County. And I can see then that the total population in 2021 was 164,221. And in that, in terms of the average household size for Maui County, we can scroll down and we can see information about the average household size. So there are 55,620 households. The average size is 3 in Maui County. Scrolling back up, the next question is about the age distribution. So looking here at our age distribution, you can see that about 5.6% are under the age of 5. So that's going to be pre-kindergarten age. We have about 21.5%, which are under the age of 18. And then we have 19.8%, which are over the age of 65. The last question was about percentage of the population living below the poverty level. So this is one, when we're scrolling down here, the answer to this question was going to be 9% between 2016 and 2020. Again, that's the American Community Survey, 5 years. This is one where we have information by age and by gender and race ethnicity. So again, those color coding applies. So you can see that people who identify as American Indian and Alaska Native, 30.6% are below the poverty level, and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders, 18.1% compared to 9% overall. So looking at disparities. And then again, if I really want to dig in here for Maui County, I can go down to something like zip codes and then compare my data by Maui County. So that way it'll make those very clear to me, and I can go ahead and zoom in on that, and you can see that the 2 zip codes with the highest number of people living below poverty level in Maui County are here in Molokai. One's at 43.6%, and the other one is here at 35%. Just wanted to remind you that next month our coffee break will be, again, it's the first Tuesday of every month, November 1st at 11 a.m. And we're going to be doing data analysis tips and tricks with hhtw.org and hawaiihealthmatters.org. When you register for the webinar, you can enter in some questions. You can let us know what you want to make sure that we address, like you were always wondering. We'll make sure that it's kind of going to be a mixed bag, but we will be covering things like confidence intervals and age-adjusted rates versus other rates and so forth.